It was the 6th grade, and one of the 8th graders asked my friend as I stood right next to her, "Why do y'all hang out with the white girl?" The white girl she was asking about was me. I am obviously African American, and I lived in a predominantly black neighborhood as a kid. I lived around a lot of other black families and kids my age, but I hardly ever got a chance to hang out with the kids from my block. Most of my friends were from my elementary school. For a safer environment and a better education, my mom sent me to Lakeshore Elementary, which was on the opposite end of San Francisco. This was a predominantly white and Asian school, so of course, most of my friends were white. I think this had a huge influence on the way I spoke and carried myself, and just how I was as a whole. Let's just admit it, I spoke like a straight-up Valley girl. When I say this, I don't mean someone literally from the San Fernando Valley, but a stereotype. Someone who says things like totally, OMG, like, LOL, in between every word. When I got to middle school, I was around a much more diverse group of people. I started making friends with not only Asians and white people, but black and Latinos too. Midway through the 6th grade, my lunchtime friend group was a group of black girls. Although we were all black, it was made clear by the rest of my black community, and even by my own friends, that we were not the same. First, I will explain how this affected my self-concept and perceived self. Then, I will discuss how I reappraised the situation with my new interpersonal communication skills. And lastly, I will conclude by sharing my thoughts with regards to this assignment and what I have learned. The people around me would constantly make jokes, point out, and make comments about the way I spoke and acted. If I had $1 for every time I was called an Oreo, I'd be a millionaire. It honestly had a huge impact on the way I perceived myself. Hearing these comments so often, I began to socially compare myself to my peers. I realized we were different, but isn't everyone? The more I heard people talk about me, the more I thought of myself as something abnormal, something peculiar. In turn, this destroyed my self-esteem. So instead of sticking up for myself, I conformed. I didn't see a white girl when I looked in the mirror, so I had to figure out a way to stop from being called one. I tried to change my entire personality and create a different public image, a different presenting self. My impression management was at an all-time high. I remember trying so hard to dress more black, speak like the other black girls did, and act like something I wasn't, solely to feel accepted. I remember distancing myself from my elementary school friends because they weren't a part of the new image I was trying to sell. Thinking back on this, it was such a difficult time for me. My realization came after I made a new friend, Ashley. I met Ashley after school on the bus home, so I was able to let my guard down and be myself because no one from school was around. Me and Ashley became really good friends very quickly, but I felt like I was unable to hang out with her during school because she was Filipino and I acted differently during school hours. This is when I finally said, whatever. I didn't want to do it anymore. Slowly, I stopped hanging out with the black girl group at lunch and figured if they were really my friends and liked me for me, they'd come find me. When I used to look back on the situation, I would be so disappointed in myself and wish I stood up for myself more. Today, when I look back on my 6th grade year, I see such a confused girl who just wanted to be accepted. A confused girl who didn't know how to handle the complexities of her identity. A confused girl who didn't have the knowledge to understand who she was. Today, using these concepts to go back and realize just what was happening, it's a different experience. I was just a product of my culture, a product of my elementary school interpersonal relationships, and a product of my life. I am not the same 11-year-old girl that I was then. Today, I want my presenting self to be as honest as my perceived self. And although self-concepts are influenced by significant others and the people around you, I want who I think I am to be defined by me. I am so grateful for this class and Professor Solomon, of course, for providing me with the knowledge I needed. Although this was an interpersonal class, I really feel that it has helped me interpersonally. I could have used these concepts as a kid, but I am just glad I know them now. Although I am not perfect, I know I am great the way I am and everything that comes with me, while still believing in my growth and all that I have to learn throughout the course of my life.